Ba 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 ba. Hey! Oh dear. I broke the cork. Well, I guess we'll just have to drink the whole thing. Gendame. Welcome to Il Piccolo Mondo, that's Italian for the little world, and welcome to my little world right here in my kitchen, where I am passionate about the traditions of Italian food and wine, just like my grandmother used to make, and this Paisano is here to share family secrets with all of you. So welcome to the very first episode of Il Piccolo Mondo, where we are going to start with the base, and that is the sauce. All of our wonderful Italian cooking that you are going to see on this channel originates from this sauce right here. No self-respecting Paisano ever uses a sauce from a jar. Once you see how easy and how delicious this is, you never will either. Everything you need to put this recipe together is below in the description, along with a sort of run-through of the recipe, but keep in mind, these are family traditions passed down from generation to generation. It's at least as much art as it is science, so I can't give you exact amounts of the spices. Watch what I do, watch and learn, practice for yourself. Once you see how easy this sauce is and how delicious it is, you will never use a jarred sauce again, guaranteed. Okay, so let's jump right into the sauce, shall we? In a decent sized saucepan such as this, you could definitely go bigger, but don't go any smaller. We are going to start with approximately 3 tablespoons of olive oil. I know, I'm not measuring anything, but I'd say that was about 3 tablespoons. We are going to bring that up to heat over medium heat. We're going to bring that up to temperature. While that is heating, we want the olive oil hot. We're going to take 3 cloves of garlic. Now, I actually like these tubes of garlic. It's a nice little shortcut. It even gives you on the back an exact conversion of how much of this equals a clove. It's about 1.5 teaspoons per clove of garlic. So I'm just going to use a couple of regular sized kitchen spoons here. It's a nice shortcut, and I like this in the sauce because I want to taste the garlic, but I don't want to be chewing on it. And no matter how much you mince it up, you still end up chewing on bites of it. The paste is good stuff. Check it out. This is Amore brand. Okay, now, as this is going, again, seasonings to taste, to smell, experiment with it, play with it, see what you like. But we are going to start with kosher salt, approximately 1.5 punches of it, maybe a little more. Okay, half a teaspoon, 1 teaspoon maybe. Pepper, half a teaspoon, maybe a little more. Again, depends on your taste. Grated Pecorino Romano cheese. You could definitely grate your own. That would be preferable, but I do not have a block of it at the moment. We'll say 3 tablespoons grated Pecorino Romano. Adds the flavor. Don't mess around with it. Parsley. Parsley. Where are you at, parsley? There you are. Parsley. A generous shake of it. Oregano. Likewise, generous shake of it. I like a little bit of this all-purpose seasoning as well. I think that gives it a little extra punch. Pre-mixed Italian seasoning. Don't be stingy with this. Minced onion, a dash thereof. Some people actually like to put onion in the sauce, not me. I just like the flavor of it. I don't really want to chew on it. Now, we are going to give this a little stir. Make sure all that garlic and cheese combines with the oil as well as the spices. All right, we're gonna try to basically combine this into a nice slurry, because you throw that oil and that cheese together and you get a nice thick viscous coating on the bottom of the pot. You want to try to combine everything. Don't stir the crap out of it, just give it a good stir. Now, the most key ingredient of all, in my personal opinion, good Italian wine. Something that is good enough to at least drink. Okay, it does not have to be fancy. It does not have to be expensive. You do not have to know anything whatsoever about wine, but just make sure that it's not cooking wine. Cooking wine is another word for crap wine. If you wouldn't drink it, don't put it in your food. Approximately, I don't know, quarter cup or so, good amount. Right, make sure the whole bottom of the pot is covered. A census taker once tried to test me. I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti. Again, give it a nice stir. Now, from here, we're going to start adding our tomatoes. Now, there's a lot of debate on tomatoes and what the best brands are. My personal favorite brand is Cento. However, with things being the way they are at the moment, certain ingredients can be a little bit more difficult to find, so we're working with Tutto Rosso today. 1 can tomato puree. Make sure we get it all. Yeah, come on, get out of there. Go. 1 can of crushed tomatoes. This is Scalafani. Again, I prefer Cento, but not all the best ingredients are available at the moment, so we make do with what we've got. So 1 can crushed, 1 can tomato puree, and 1 can of tomato paste. Tomato paste can be a little tricky to get out of the can, so use a spoon, get in there, get it all out. Now I'm going to be naughty here for a moment, and I'm going to use a metal spoon to stir. You shouldn't use a metal spoon to stir a non-stick pot, but as long as I'm careful and don't touch the bottom and scratch it up, should be fine. We want to blend all these ingredients together. Okay, now no amount of stirring is ever going to completely mix in that olive oil, but we want to make sure that the crushed puree and tomato paste all is nice and combined with the cheese and garlic and the other seasonings. Now, like I said, this is a family recipe. This has been passed down from generation to generation. You know, this was my grandmother's recipe, but I'm sure it was her grandmother's recipe too. And it was passed down from mother to daughter, mother to daughter, mother to daughter, eventually mother to daughter-in-law. It goes way back. And it's my sauce, and my wife's too. She makes it better than I do. All right, forget about it. That looks good. Now, take a nice, good sniff of it. Remember what I said, more art than science. You can tell by the smell that it's giving off where you may have been a little bit short on some of the spices, and we can add more to make up for that, no problem. So we're going to give it another dash of the granulated onion. Some more of the Italian seasoning premix makes your life a lot easier. I think a little bit more cheese, because it's never a bad idea to put cheese in, right? A little bit more cheese. There's one thing you can never have too much of in good old-fashioned Italian cooking is garlic. Now, this granulated garlic stuff is really potent, so you gotta be careful with it. It's a lot more potent even than fresh garlic. But again, I like the taste. I don't necessarily like to chew on it. So we are gonna stir this up. This sauce requires a lot of stirring all throughout the process of making it, from soup to nuts, you know, right up until the time we're gonna put it on the table. So this is one of those instances where I kind of wish I had the robo stir, but I do not. All right, once all your spices and tomato puree, tomato paste, and crushed tomatoes are blended together as good as they're going to get, we're going to reduce the heat to low, and we're going to let this simmer, and we'll see you in part 2 of this video, where we put together the most succulent and delicious Cesane style meatballs you have ever seen or tasted in your entire life. So if you're new here, and I know you are because this is the channel's very first video, please consider subscribing, click the bell to enable notifications so you never miss a new video again. And if you haven't seen it, check out my other channel, Ramblin' Recruiter. I'll leave the link below in the description. Oh yeah, that is looking marvelous. Forget about it. I am going to teach you how to taste the sauce as you go. It's not as simple as just grabbing a spoon and dipping it in there. There's a certain way of going about tasting the sauce. You're going to love it. This is looking terrific. All right, let's put the lid on. Hey folks, bonus tip for those of you who watched all the way to the end. Because you're using tomatoes and red wine, this can definitely be a heartburn-inducing meal for those who are susceptible to heartburn. So an easy way to cut the acidity of the sauce is to add 1 or 2 punches of sugar. Check it out. That is a punch of sugar. See that? It fits in my fist. Boom. Forget about it. I wish you had seen what just happened, and I wish I had caught it on camera. Unfortunately, I didn't. The reason why it's so important to keep your sauce covered while you are simmering it is because as the sauce comes up to a slow boil, it's so thick and viscous that bubbles literally shoot right up out of the top of it and launch across the room. Well, some of it launched about 5 feet across the room and landed on my arm. I don't know if you can see that, but that's what happens when scalding hot sauce hits you in the arm. So make sure you keep it covered. We're gonna let that simmer for a good while, and I'll see you in the next episode when we start with the meatballs. Ciao! Ci andame.